morning, everyone, and here I am once again and going at you with some Blender today. We're going to play around with a clubhouse I'm building, and yeah, I'll see what we can do. Kind of winging it, going to be doing some Blender, and yeah, I'm not a pro at it, but I'm going to be doing it, so that's all good. And off we go. Okay, we have, just a second. Okay, so let me show you what we have. First of all, if you walk around the building, let's start from outside. I'll just refresh the page so you can see what we're actually doing. And here we go. Here's the beginning of our clubhouse. And we're taking on the idea from Snow Crash, kind of, where it had a dome with a bunch of sections inside that different people could hang out. And so just thought I'd kind of recreate that concept by doing a round type building with a dome roof on it. I went with the red awning going inside, and once you go inside, that's the piece I'm working on. When it loads up in here, we're telling it what we want it to look like, and right now it has these different sections. What I'll be doing is I'm going to be adding stairs in between that side and that side over there so that we have some type of stairway going up. And these sections haven't fully decided how I'm going to develop it, but I'm definitely going to put some more stuff there, so we'll see what we need to do. Okay, with that said, let's go into Blender. And by the way, we're going to be updating it into our scene so that we can see as we go what it looks like and how it's going. We're going to be able to, we'll do a lot of stuff. So, okay. First thing, I'm going to switch it over to working in this mode. And when we first walk in the door, the one thing here is I have a couple pieces that were designed to be I'm leaving a couple things in place just for markers so that I have the points still, but that piece and that piece are going to go. Let's see. I may tweak this section a little bit. Right now we have kind of this idea. And first things first, these pieces are going to go because they're not, we need to get rid of some of this. First of all, it's this one, actually, there's an easier way to do this. If I grab that point and tell it to delete the vertices, there we go, now it's nice and clean out of there. I'm going to be getting rid of that piece and that piece. We can get rid of that point. Am I ready to get rid of that point? Yes, and that point and that point, which if I get rid of those vertices, then it cleans it up right to there. We'll fill in some walls here as we go, but the next thing I want to do is if I tell it mesh snap to center, puts the cursor back on the other side. I'm balancing off the cursor right now for my movements, which is set right 3D cursor. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be off my 3D cursor so that I can move things anywhere I want. The other part is I'm going to take basically these points right here. I want to make this section more of a walkway over the top of the entrance, and so I'm going to be tweaking this. Get it back here where you can actually see what I'm doing. See, there's the center, and I want it to indent there, but I don't want it to be quite so far. So I'm going to back that up where we can actually see what we're working with, and if I do Scale Shift Z, then I should be able to move that. Nice, 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 nice. And I'm going to move it about there. I want it to be about halfway across my piece up there. That gives us a nice long entryway, but at the same time gives us a cool entryway, basically, with a walkway on top of it that has plenty of room to go around and makes this section up here a little bit bigger. Okay, the next thing is over here. I was thinking about this, and how do I want to do it on this side? I think it would be cool to actually have a hidden room underneath there. So if I do this one right, we'll have a hidden room later on. But for now, I think what I need to do is, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. If I take those and go up to here, let's take these 4 segments here and those up. Okay, hang on. Move Z and move those straight up. We should be able to do 15, I believe. Yep, 15. And now they are the perfect point height of the rest of the wall. Don't worry about the halfway up marker and stuff because I'm going to be getting rid of that anyway. Okay, now we have these places where we can build the plates back up. So, the other part here, just so you can see it, when I'm working with this stuff, notice how they look black and all the rest of them look gray. That's actually the faces of the pieces. I think they're backwards. If we look in our normal section by clicking N on the keyboard, in fact, are you seeing the, no, you're not seeing that. Okay, it turned that off on me. We're gonna, okay, let me see, file, save, file, preferences, screencast keys, they're turned on here. So screencast keys are turned on. Oh, there they are. I thought they were. Start display, there we go. Now you can see the keys that I'm pushing and stuff. Okay, and what we have is we have the normals. We want to see the faces and we want to see the normals. Size. We're going to make it a bit bigger so we can actually see them. Here we go. Notice they're coming out, but they're showing me the directions of the pieces. This one, notice they're a little nub. These ones are sticking out. So if I take these 4 pieces here, I can go mesh, normals, and flip normals, and there we go. Now they're sticking out like they're supposed to. Okay, I'm going to leave, let's see, do I need that back wall there? I won't be needing that. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to be doing in there for the room. May use that whole area. Planning ahead for a hidden room. It's really hidden when I broadcast it on here, right? But since, yeah, whoever sees it, sees it. Okay, we'll figure the logistics of that piece later on. But this, what I want to do, Well, the easiest way is switch back to vector positions, click that one, that one, that one, and that one. Actually, we can see through walls, so we can click that one too. Click that one, that one, that one, and there. And delete those vertices. Now it gets rid of that. We can go this to there and Alt-M at last. Go there to there. Alt-M at last. Just trying to decide what I actually want to do. Then, of course, doing it is a whole nut. Whoops. Click this one, then that one, and Alt-M at last. This one, that one, at last. And finally, we've gotten rid of that section there. We can also do a little bit of cleanup here, just because we know we're going to do it. We'll click on this face and this, oops, not that one, this face, and what was the keystrokes for that? Anybody remember? Okay, so we're going to combine those. I can do it through here. Faces, solidify, no. Oh, I know. Sorry. Just hit the delete key and dissolve faces. That's it. That's what I want to do. It's been a while since I've done that. So getting back into doing a little bit of Blender here, having some fun with it, and getting in place. Basically creating a little clubhouse type setup. We'll do these two. Dissolve faces. Okay. And the first thing I want to show you is that whenever you create something in Blender, first of all, let me save it here, and we're going to click, oops, click Tab, and File, Save. This one has the add-in for Babylon, so I can export as Babylon files. And when I export, creates the file, real simple and straightforward. If I go to my media library and I go to 3D objects and I have this club inside, that's my Babylon file that I created. If I didn't have that yet, all I have to do is click upload primary file and upload the Babylon file first. Then it creates the container that I can go into, and I can now add any file that I want as part of that piece. So in this case, I'm doing the club inside here, and all I have to do is upload the Babylon file, and it replaces it. Currently that's not set up to load more than one file at a time. That's definitely something I'm going to fix in the very, very near future. In fact, I might get ambitious and do that today. But in the meantime, I can upload any files I need. All I need really to show it is the Babylon and the manifest file, if the manifest changed. But the Babylon file, that's going to do that. And then once I've done that, it needs a reload. You can also reload that by actually walking away and then walking back into it. That will change the way it does it. Okay, so now, no, it did not reload our scene because we made that wall straight across from us flat and everything. The other thing you can do is just to make sure it clears it, clear your browser cache. The only thing I'm clearing is cached images and files. Clear that data. I don't want to clear anything else. Kind of like my cookies the way they are. Don't let them play with my cookies. Okay, and here we go. It's finishing loading. There he comes. And then I'm going to run in here. And notice we have something different there. What it look like? Something's going on a little different with the lighting. We flipped the normals, so I know those are correct. But there is something going on with the lighting because it should have looked like all the rest of the walls. Let's find out what is happening in our original. See, we don't have anything going on in our original over here. Let's check our normals, because when the normals are off, then everything kind of looks a little weird. Those are all facing up. Those are all facing out. Those are missing on purpose, just so I can kind of keep a layout looking here. Those look good. Okay, I'm not seeing anything wrong here. Let's... I'm going to first detach from the avatar camera so that I can just kind of zoom around here a little bit. And notice that, okay, the top part came out okay. The face is kind of looking a little weird, but that's just what it is. Oh, I know what it is. It is a mix of blended edges and rough edges. We need to make sure all the edges are rough. We can take care of that, and then we're going to start building some other pieces here. We'll add some textures so that it's easier to see the difference between the sides. So let me spin this around. This is the section we're looking at. Notice these have creased edges. We're going to take that here, do Shift E, and pull that as far as it'll go, and by doing that we've now made those creased edges as well. Now they should look like all the rest of them. That's all it was. If you don't get them all the same, then they definitely stand out as being different. Okay, next what I'm going to do is, just so that we can see the difference, I'm going to first of all apply some textures here. We don't have any textures selected yet. Let's say, where am I going to start with? I'm going to create a new one, and this is going to just be anything that isn't texturized otherwise. So I'm going to just make it gray, just so that we have something in place. And this will be, I'm just going to call it background, just so that it's background noise, it's something in place. The reason I do that is because next I'm going to add a second texture, and we're going to call this one carpet. And on this carpet, it is going to be, first of all, we're not going to go too dark. We're going to give it a little bit of a shade. We don't need it to be real specular, glare blaring off of it for light sources. We're going to make it emit at 1, just so that it has some, it'll show the images basically, otherwise it doesn't. And now we're going to add, okay, we don't have anything in there yet. Let's add a texture. This will be, and I'm just going to say carpet.jpg. It's not the real name of the file, but it is significant that if I change the carpet, this covers all the carpet areas. And it is an image file, so I put .jpg at the end of it. If I click open here, we can pick from, I have some already in this folder, and I want to go with the dark gray carpet. Open image. And now what I'll do is I'm going, well, let's finish designing it first. I'm going to show you I'm going to put it in a couple places just so we have it, just so we can work with it for a few minutes. But by no means is this going to stay the way it is. The second I go to, I can tell you already, the second I go to design some of these steps and these other pieces, the UV, what is it called? The UV map. UV map is going to tweak it, and so it's not quite going to be the way you would expect it to. So instead of sitting here tweaking this all out, getting the carpet all in place, and then watching it disappear when my UV map gets redrawn, it's easier just to, I can throw it on a couple places just so we can see what it looks like, and then we'll come back and do those later on after the UV map is more efficient and closer to what we're going to leave it at. But for now, just to do it, I'm going to carpet a handful of places here, just so we can kind of see it. I know this isn't going to take more than a couple seconds, so otherwise I wouldn't even bother with doing it yet. Then we're going to play around, get the rest of the shape in place so that we can, start really mapping out the pieces we want it to be. but we'll get there. Okay, so that takes us around the room with that. I'm not worried about the floor because that's actually underneath my other floor. I'm going to delete that last, but right now for a reference, I don't want it to disappear. So I'm going to say carpet, and I'm going to say assign. That will give me my carpets in those areas. The next piece that you can do is if you create a UV map, and this one is just, we can call it inside, works for me. And when we click this stuff, we can tell it to use our UV map inside. Okay, that should do it. And the other part is, notice I'm not looking at it because I wasn't rendering the material. Now I'm actually getting the carpet shade and the carpet look of it and stuff as I look at it. So that's just back and forth on this down here. Okay, file, save, and let's throw that in the scene and take a look, see what it looks like. I'm going to go in here, Media Library, and 3D Objects, Club Inside. And the first thing I'm going to do, upload. We're going to get that dark gray carpet, make sure that's added in here. Then we're going to add the Babylon file. We'll get the Blender file later on. That's just my own safeguard of making sure that I have the Blender file with it. In case I ever want to make changes in the future, all I have to do is click it, download it, and use it again. So it just kind of makes it nice to have available and travel with the project. Obviously, I put it out there. You guys can actually download it, use it, whatever. I don't care. If I have something I don't want you to share or whatever use, then I won't be putting it out there. So that kind of sums up how that works. Okay, now that it's added in here, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and notice that we don't have anything yet. It didn't load. We're going to go to settings, clear our browsing data, clear that, and refresh. That's why I keep that open. And notice it's not loaded yet because we put it in an action zone or load zone that is actually only if you're closer to the building. So notice when I get to about right there, now all of a sudden it loads it. That is because of my action zones. I want to make sure my avatar walks in there. Then when I take off the avatar camera, I can move around and it has no effect on where that's actually at. Okay, it didn't load it. No problem. We've been here before. All I need to do is in here, if I take and remove that's why I said it's nothing personal, but it's going to be one of those things that I destroy and add 100 times, because each time you do this, first of all, if I highlight everything, and then I come in here and say UV map, now it knows to use the UV map. We'll call it whatever we want to call it. And then when I take certain pieces, notice the gray carpet now shows file save, file export. The other part is I want to make sure that the carpet is set this way, and there is something that says external data, and I have this unchecked. If you didn't, then you can always unpack all into files. I like leaving them outside my Blender file. Then the Blender file doesn't, our Babylon file, because the Babylon file doesn't get too big. So keep those I keep them separate. Export Babylon version. And we're going to dump that out here. I'm going to upload the new version. Just go to Media Library in our WalkTheWeb app. Edit the piece we're working with. And now we can set the Babylon file, upload that. I know I need to make this where we can grab more than one file at a time. That would be a lot easier, and that's probably going to be something I'm doing next, but for the moment, clear browsing data just to make sure it gives me a refresh of it. And now reloading. One of these days I'll write it where it reloads itself when you change it, but I haven't gotten that far down the road yet. We got a lot of cool features, and that's just the minimum thing that we have to do. Okay, so we loaded these pieces in place, and come on, is it traveling with me now or not? We should have it in place. I'm going to go separate. There we are. Now we have carpets up on top and down on these levels. Okay, that gives us a little bit of an idea of what the place is going to look like. The next thing I want to do is I'm actually going to build some stairs. We want this to be a big stair section, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side so that when somebody walks in the door, they can go to either side and get up to these upper levels. That's just the plan of how I'm going to get there. And let's go ahead and work on that. And the other part is we've scaled this thing twice the size. Otherwise, I can go 1 unit and each step is 1 unit and we're good to go. But I know for a fact that when I put this building into the scene, notice when I click on this, we're twice the size with the shape of it. I even went a little bit higher in vertical. So we know that we need to be less than, well, like a half for each step. And the avatar can easily take 1 step, half a step per step. That's not an issue. Let's get back into here. Let's do that. And now we're going to be working in these cubby holes over here. And we're going to make this into a bunch of steps. The easiest way I've found to do this is by taking this back wall, section it into as many pieces as we need it to be. Then as I'll pull them out to different levels for each one of the steps. Just a little trick I learned by trying to figure this out before. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and highlight those 3 pieces, and I'm going to mesh edges and subdivide, which gives us, now we have 2 steps. So then I'm going to click on these 4 pieces and mesh edges, subdivide. Now I have 4 steps, sorry, can't count. The reason I keep on re-clicking this is because I only want to grab the vertical ones. I don't need it dividing it into a whole bunch of steps the other direction. So there we go, and mesh edges, subdivide. Okay, we're getting closer. I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, of course. 8 steps, 7 high, but we did double the size. Let's confirm something. If I come in here, I want to see what size this is, and I kind of need a relative size. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so I need to get up to this level, and I kind of need to know how high this is. And it may be different because Blender is scaling proportional to itself when I put it in this scene. But what I can do is add a 3D building block, put a box in here. I already know that's 10, and if I make it 12, 13, 14, yeah, it's looking like if I go 14, notice that's 14 steps. Okay, so it is 14. That's the magic number we need. It needs to be at least those number of steps, otherwise it isn't going to work this way. So we can delete that box. We now know that 8 isn't going to cut it, but if we double it to 16, then it's going to be a real easy slide up those steps. Okay, so we're going to do the segment thing again. The other thing I can do is if I do a C selector, no, see, I get those ones. Never mind. Let me go to just this. And let me get a little bit closer because I want to make sure that I'm grabbing them all. They're getting small in here. Okay. And we have 1, 8 there. 8 there. and 8 there, and now magically edges, subdivide, and now we have 16 stairs ready to be built. Okay, let's see if we have enough room. The top of the stairs, yeah, that's enough room. This area here, we're going to be pulling it all the way as far as it needs to go. I just don't want it to pass up. I don't want it to go beyond this point here on my 16 stairs. So I need to be kind of methodical about how far I go on each step. The first thing I can do is if I first of all mesh, snap, and I need to make sure my cursor's in the center. That puts it where I need it to be, in the center of the circle, so that when I pull these things forward, they basically, everything works where it's supposed to be. Okay, and the other part is, if I just extrude each one of them, then I'm going to end up with a lot of planes in between them at all different levels, and that's going to get rather ugly quick. So what I need to do is I need to extrude it, but destroy the extra ones on every single time I do it. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to work on just a little bit of an angle. I'm going to switch over to faces, and I don't need that face or that face because we're not going to pull the first or the top step. We're just going to pull all the ones underneath it. And I want to extrude, and let's see if it goes the direction I expect it to. I want to make sure that it's staying, yeah, it's doing exactly what I want it to. Okay, the distance that I want to travel, I have 16 steps, and notice 2 is kind of 2.5. If I go 3, okay, wait a minute. Let's put that back for a second. I want to back up. I need to see what I'm doing with. Let's do this mathematically. Woo! Didn't mean to scare you. Yeah. Okay. When I get too much out of place, then the extruding happens in the wrong direction. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make sure that it's extruding in the, it looks like the X direction. So I'm going to put EX, which gives us just this direction all the way out. See how, but it's going wider than the other pieces. Oh, I know why. Okay, we're going to undo that, and there's a trick to this. If I click E and then hit enter, and then I do scaling, Shift Z, then I'm moving it right along this area and only this area for this whole piece. Now notice the full distance is approximately 0.55. Yeah, those are ugly numbers. 0.55. Oh, from 1 to 0.55. That's impressive. Okay, so 1 and then 0.5. Is 0.5 short or bigger than that? Yeah, it's not going to 0.5. That's too big. So if I go 0.55, divide it by 16. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Just thinking this out. It would be 0.45. Okay, I'm clicking right mouse button to escape that. Keeping them selected. Get my math calculator out. I don't think math anymore. No, actually I do all the time. Okay, so I have 1 minus 0.55 equals 0.45 as I expected, divided by 16 equals, okay, it's not pretty, 0.028. If I make them 0.025, no, 0.028. Okay, we're going to have to track this as we go. So I need 1 minus 0.028 equals 0.972. Well, that's fun. Okay, so we're in here, and we're going to scale Shift Z, and we're going to move them. Let's run away. And notice the numbers in my bottom left corner there. We have 0.972. Hit enter. Then, here we go, moving in. I just want to see where we're actually getting here. If it doesn't look right, then it's not going to work anyway, so I might as well see that we're getting something that resembles what I want it to do. The other part that can help is, instead of looking at that, let's look at the solid. There we go, now we can actually see it. Okay. And just so you know, I opened up a little calculator on the side here, and I'm actually running the numbers. So that was telling me what I need to do, and then I can take this over here and shift. I want to get rid of that one and that one, which is my first step. And I'm going to go minus 0.028. And that will be 944 is my next number. Take these, we do click E and then hit enter, and then we do scale Shift Z to make sure that it only scales to our home place. Now we do 0.944. Oh, that looks like it's bigger than the last one. Escape that. You know what it is. I can tell you already. Let's go back. So it hasn't done that step yet. It was 0.972. You watch. It's going to be 0.972 each time because that's the increment I need to do. If I do this, it's going to be twice as long of a step. So I don't need to change it. It's just 0.972 each time should get me where I want to be. Let's give that a test. If I go Shift there, then I go Scale, Shift Z, and I move these back, and I go 0.972. We have a step. Then I do Shift this one and this one. E enter. Shift Control Z. 0.972. And we have another step. How are we looking? Okay, does that look like we're going to hit? Yeah, we have plenty of room. We have plenty of room to hit where we need to be. Okay, so then Shift, we're getting rid of the top step here, and E enter to extrude and get the points, but then we're going to scale those new points. Scale Shift Z, we're moving back, and we have 0.972. Now get rid of the next step, and E enter, Shift S for scale, 0.972, and we're moving right along. So then take off the next piece. We're going to build one staircase and then test it in our scene and make sure that we can walk up it nice and comfortably. And if that doesn't work, we're going to make it work. We're going to do it again and see where we need to be. So that, Shift Z, 0.972. Maybe even go farther than that, huh? I think we're doing just fine. It can be inlaid. I just didn't want it to go beyond the one that we're working with. So this is working out just fine. E, C, 972. Well, we're not even close to the end like I thought we would be. Interesting. So much for doing it the math direction, huh? If nothing else, I can make them wider so we can step out, make it go more of this distance. Let's just give it a shot and see how they walk up, and we'll go from there. These are definitely only going about halfway right now. It's a cool effect, but we'll see how they feel when we walk up them. And okay, that's our steps. Save that, and then we're gonna go give this a test to see how it did. So export. Oops, I missed it. Export Babylon. Save that. I'll save that again. And here we're going to go to our media library, update the new file. And getting into Babylon, let's see inside Babylon, that's the one we need. And settings, clear the cookies, clear data. Refresh our scene. And here comes our avatar, and here we go. Running in, loaded up the piece. Let's see if we have stairs, first of all. Should be right over here. Hello, didn't load. Am I working on the other side? Yep, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna run over here. And now that I get there, I'm going to walk it. Looks like the top, we're walking right up it. That isn't a problem. So up our stairs is no problem. That's good to know. They look about right. They're about the right distance to go up and down. And notice I took 4 steps and it went all the way down. 4 or 5 steps. It's actually shallower than we need. We're much more capable of making it up those steps without a problem. No problem at all is no problem at all, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'd rather have more steps than not enough. Let's say somebody else created their own avatar. If they did, I want to make sure that we can actually see, because this is what happens. There you go. And he can make it up the stairs. So, this is about the right thing. I'm not going to try to change them. Because the more flexibility we have on that, the easier it is to make those steps work. Okay, the next thing is I want to look behind those steps in our other scene and make sure we didn't create more than we needed, which means click to this and you're going to see what I mean. Behind the scenes here, there's a bunch of pieces that I'm sure it created. So we're going to make sure that we aren't using. See, first of all, we do not need any of those side pieces or bottom pieces on every one of those steps. So all of this is duplicates and stuff that we do not need. It's behind the scene, it's under the scene. And notice how it does the double reflection thing every time we see them. It's because none of them are needed. So we are going to do some cleanup here. I'm leaving the bottom corner piece in place because these sidewalls, on the other hand, to get a nice smooth side of your stairs, you kind of need one solid piece. So I'm going to leave the sidewalls in place, but I'm going to get rid of all of the rest of these points that tend to make up this. Like, well, if I highlight everything, I'm going to get something in the background. Okay, let's make sure I'm only getting what I need to get here. See, I've highlighted something back over here. I got to be careful of that. I don't want to get more than I need. So we're going to make sure we're only deleting the points that are related to this. By deleting the vertices, it deletes all of the unnecessary. It deletes all the extras. It deletes the faces and lines around it. So click delete and delete the vertices. Notice we're a nice clean piece there. Don't worry about, I'm going to leave that point down there and we're going to fix that side wall afterwards. So don't worry about that so much yet. We'll put a nice clean sidewall in there afterwards. But for now, we're getting rid of a lot of extra vertices because we don't need them for what's under the stairs. So we're going to delete those. And as long as we're not affecting the one the stair is on, then we're doing just fine. We're going to do the sides first, then we'll do the base. By clicking on this side of it, I'm making sure I get the one in the foreground and not the ones behind it. Okay, so we get this, that. Notice I'm clicking a little off to the right of the vertice. That just makes sure I'm not clicking through and getting something on the other side. And we're going to move forward, because of course every one of these has to be plotted, and we don't need them if they're not shown in the actual scene. So we're going to clear those up. It's just good design. Good practices. I'm not saying it's good design. That's up to you guys to judge. But good practices is don't leave anything here that you're not going to use, and only delete it after you're done using those vertices, because it's really hard to put a vertice back into place if it was mathematically calculated as the rest of this stuff happened. Vertices. And whatever we do on this side, we have to create a duplicate on the other side because we want two sets of staircases. So we will have more than just what's here. And then we have one there. And then I'm not going to delete that. Well, actually, we can delete the face and the edge only, but we do not want to delete the points. So if I click to face, select this face here, click delete, I can do only face, and then I'll go to edge, and I'm going to click that edge right there, delete, and edges and faces only. Notice I got it out of there without clearing up my points. That's the goal. That's what we're doing. The other piece is I do not need these points on the ground here. This is all duplicate stuff, so I'm doing the vertices, and we're going to get rid of all but the end one. I want the end one because that's going to give us our wall where it was before. Each one of these get longer and longer. And we're going to go all the way to there, delete, and vertices. That clears up. Notice it's just one sheet now all the way to the end, which is fine. I'm not ready to get rid of that just yet. So we're going to go this way, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side now. There's also, I cleared up the vertices there. There's all these vertices that are in the center here. We'll clear those up shortly too. I'm just doing cleanup right now. Building a staircase, and of course we do not need all these pieces that are underneath the staircase that aren't going to be seen anyway. So we're getting them as we go. clear up those vertices, making our steps here. I'm right clicking, as you can see by the shift, holds them all together, and right click grabs all the vertices, click delete. This is why I didn't bother with that UV map and do a lot of stuff there yet. Because as I do stuff like this, I'm actually changing the UV map because we're changing the faces. So until the faces are the way we want them to be, it really doesn't make any sense to start playing around with the UV map. We could do that afterwards when we get the design looking like we want. Then when we throw a UV map on it, it will automatically pick up all the pieces that are part of it. So let's see here. And vertices, moving in closer. And all of us programmers know the very first thing you do after you learn how to open up the app that you use for programming is you figure out how to do undo. You find the undo because it seems like that's the most used function we do. Try something, undo it. Try something else, undo it. Click the wrong thing, undo it. Okay, we're almost there. I'm going to move in a little bit closer so I can get a bird's eye view here and kind of get the right pieces. I need that one, that one. Delete vertices. Delete those vertices. I didn't just ruin my step, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. Delete those vertices. Delete that vertice. And finally, delete that face only. And for cleanup, delete that edge only, which edge and faces covers it. Okay, then we have, oops, get off the edge. We want this. All the way to there. And notice that there's counterparts, so we're gonna clean up those at the same time here. There, it'll select each one of these boxes for us. There, 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 and that one. And delete vertices. Clears off the palette. Now we have just the two base ones, which we're going to get rid of eventually. I just want to leave them there as we're working so that we have something good to work with. And if I move outside of this and go back to our positive side of it, notice we didn't lose anything except the sidewalls, which I expected to happen. See, we distorted the sidewalls by doing this piece. It was actually chopping away at the sidewall. But you don't get a good measured pattern on the wall for the piece unless you get unless it's a square piece. So what I like to do is I need to get this in here, and I'm actually going to show the corner that I'm working with is right there. Then there's the top edge here, this piece, and that piece. If I do that and click F to create a face, now I have a face that is once all the way across, but it is a complete rectangle the whole way. Now the pattern on the wall in the UV map will look perfect. So that's the reason I do it the way I do. I know there's probably other techniques for doing that. It's just the way I figured it out, and it works for me. So we have this one, that piece up there, here, and here. And we click face. Now we have a face. And notice I'm looking at the normal also. It's pointing outward. So that should give us a nice clean look on the faces of that particular part. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for the other steps on the other side of the room. So let's go over here and imitate all those steps we just did, which is first divide this wall into 16 steps. Here we go with this, And, well, let me turn off the show through because I don't want to accidentally click the ones behind it. Okay, there we have that. Mesh and edges, subdivide. Notice it also highlights the other ones when I do that, so I'm just going to select them again. It's the easiest way I found. And we subdivide those again. So edges, subdivide. Now we have 4 steps. We subdivide again. Mesh, edges, and subdivide. Now we have 8 steps, and we're going to do that one more time and get our 16 steps in here. I missed again. I know 16 steps seems like a lot, but when they're walking up the steps, the one thing I'm really trying to make sure is that no matter what character you create, let's say you create a dragon and you want to be able to walk up these steps to go upstairs, then basically any kind of thing that hits the steps that can make a step of 1 unit high should be able to go up those steps. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm making sure that that is part of the functionality here. And there's our 16 pieces. We're going to switch to working with the faces of them. I'm going to take the first ones off because their steps start at the second step. And now we're going to remember our E command and then size Z, which pulls it out, and we go 0.972, and then we eliminate the top step. We go E, size Shift Z, so it only goes in those 2 directions, and 0.972. And I'm going to move it up so we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit here. Okay, get rid of the next step, E, and then Shift Z, 0.972. Another step. .972. Yeah, you're seeing a pattern, right? .972. Do. 0.972. And we're building steps. And they're the same scale as the ones we did on the other side, so we're in golden shape for that. And here we have 0.972. I'm still wondering why that math didn't exactly get it. I think it's because one started at the top of the steps, but it's not proportional to the whole unit. I think my 0.972 is actually doing a section of this and not the whole thing. So yeah, it was a calculation. It was worth trying. It still works. Steps work just fine when I walk up them, so I'm not gonna redesign them. I think they look pretty cool. They're about the right depth for steps to work. So guy goes up and down them smooth, so there's no problem on that end of it. Those are the kind of things we check. If it all works, then looks good to me. I just didn't want it to stick out beyond this cubbyhole section that I created. And we're gonna go and by typing in the numbers, I get them all always the right distance so they match across. It's mostly a consistency issue. It's not necessarily what size you create them, just consistency. So we'll take those off. We're almost there. And 0.972. I've done some things like the very first step is bigger, and I've tried different things with these, but this seems to work just fine. And notice we're keeping with the contours of the edges, which is what I wanted to do, so that the sidewalls end up right at these sidewalls. And by doing the E and then hitting enter, creates the extrusion, but they're at the same point that they started with. Then when you scale it back, it moves that reference point, but you can scale it in two different directions. When you just extrude something and you pull it out, what happens is you end up, it'll stay the same size. And so if you want to go pi wedge down, you'd have to use the scaling feature. And that's what I was able to do here. So now we're going to go back here and look at the mess it created, the organized havoc. No, just kidding. Okay, so we're going to come in here, and I'm going to now go to the points, and we're going to clear out just like we did on the other side. Clear out the extra vertices that made up the steps so we can get rid of all these extra faces that are not part of our, not needed. So we'll get these out of place. Okay, delete vertices. And just moving right on down the steps, getting rid of each part of it. That is here. Delete the vertices. Okay. And we're getting there. We're getting there. I know some of this stuff, there's selection tools to be able to grab different things, and there's probably a lot of ways that we can do this that may even speed it up a little bit. But personally, I'm being very careful. And careful is good if you delete one wrong vertice, then you have to back up all the way to it wherever you had it. And if you can't undo enough, then you end up with different issues. There's a bunch of reasons why I'm taking my time and making sure I'm only deleting the vertices I want to, and kind of doing this the hard way. But it's good. It's all good. Okay, we have that there. And one vertice on that one. And then, like we did before, take out the face on that one. Face only. And then we need to grab the edge right there. Delete, and edges and faces only. Takes that one out. Okay, we're going to now get, let's get that. Here, doop, 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 doop. We're going to clear out some vertice points because these all are not needed. They were created by the steps, and by getting rid of them, makes it nice and smooth there. Move back over here, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side of the steps. Get rid of those vertices. There's going to be more vertices, especially on the back side and undercarriage of this thing, that we're going to get rid of. We get rid of all the things that we don't need because there's no reason to render it to our scene if they're not being in a place that is seen. So, I know, scene and scene. Okay. S-C-E-N-E versus S-E-E-N. Okay. Let's get this in here. Oops. And there. Delete those vertices. And we're just doing our cleanup. I like to do this as I go. Some people like to create the whole thing and then go through and do their cleanup afterwards. I like keeping some of the framework vertices in place until the end, but whenever I do these, I know I'm not going to use them for anything else because I already have the step point on the top. I can actually pull something from there if I need to. And so it has some sense of organization of how I could recreate these points if ever necessary, but I don't see in the design I want to do that these are actually going to be used again. so it's easy enough to get rid of them now and just have the nice clean design afterwards. Okay, give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. And I'm back. Okay, so just finishing out getting these extra vertices out of place since we've created these steps. I know I can select more than one row at a time, but it's easier to undo if you only do one and miss something. So that's why I'm doing it the way I am. Okay, and then the final face, that face doesn't need to be there. And we'll catch that edge while we're there. Delete edge. Now I'm going to go back to this and we're going to get these vertices out of place. And we're just getting the extra ones out of place from that were here from designing the steps. And we're almost there. There we go. Delete the vertices. Nice and clean. Okay, so we have some steps on this side. Let's get above it so we can see our masterpiece of steps on this side, steps on that side. Okay, that now we can create the side walls. So I'll make it where we can see through it again. Click that one down there. We have one dot up there, there, and then push F, and it's facing outward with the normal, so we're good on that one. We want that spot. We're going to get that top row right there, this dot, and that one. Click F, and now we have that side wall on this side. Those should give us two nice, clean sides. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll see what's next. Let's get back out of there. File, save. We'll worry about putting the materials on last, like I said, because I'm going to be chopping up this UV map many more times before I'm done. Okay. And let's see where we are here. Okay, file, export, Babylon, and as you can see, we can drop it into our scene anytime we like. Just go to Media Library, 3D Objects, and change out whichever piece you're working with. Replace, throw the new Babylon file in place, open that. We'll make sure that our browser doesn't cache the old one just by clearing the images. And when I reload it, we should now have stairs on both sides of the room. And here we go, jogging in there. I see some stairs. Now we'll fix out the rest of that part in a minute. We have stairs on that side of the room, and we have stairs on that side of the room. Yay. Okay. Now, this will go up here, and of course, now we need some type of stairs that take us up to the top row up there. We'll have a little fun with those. Do we want to make it go across the room? No, I think I want to pull the stairs out this direction just so that we can pull them out of the wall over there and go so we have some steps going sideways in these directions. Okay, and of course we can go to the other side of the room. And now we have this. Of course, things like handrails and stuff will come, but for the moment, we have that in place. Very cool. Okay, we're not worried about the textures at the moment. Okay, I jumped off the wall. Okay, and there's going to be some pieces that go over the top. We need to work on those. But first we need to be able to get up to the top row up there. So let's create some stairs up there. I think the way I'd like to do it is if we take this wall up here, and here's the concept. You run up those stairs and then you should be able to go straight sideways up these stairs so that it's all one sweeping path in a round circle. I don't want to make it any more difficult than it needs to be for anybody to get up there. But I don't need these stairs to be the full size of the room, so let's go ahead, take, well, not that piece. What do we have here? We have, first of all, this piece here. Let me grab the side of it. Okay, so that's the piece we're going to be dealing with. That's all good. Okay, that's fine. And we're going to first, I'm going to subdivide this in a couple ways that we want it to be done. We're going to subdivide this line and this line. Mesh. It's an easy way to get sections and make them always equal is by subdividing. I don't need it to be half of this space. I think half of that would be enough of a stairway to get you up into the top piece. Let's see, if we go subdivide that, is it the size we want? A little stairway in the back or a little bit wider stairway. I think I'm going to go with a bigger stairway, but what I'll do is I'm going to subdivide, just so I know my measurements, I'm going to subdivide these two pieces right here, mesh, edges, subdivide, and then I'm going to take this one, oops, this one and this one, and I'm going to dissolve faces, which gets rid of the points, I believe. I'll have to double check that it gets rid of the points. And then this one and this one, dissolve faces. Let's switch to vertices, and oops, I was right. There's vertices there, 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 and there, which we do not need anymore. We can delete vertices. Whoa, wait, oops, that's not what I meant to do. That's why we have undo. Okay, the easiest way to do this is move that to there, Alt-M, and at last, move that point from there to there, Alt-M, at last, take that one. You can move points a lot easier than at last, move that to there, Alt-M, at last. Now we've gotten rid of the extra points, and we have just some clear points of this wall right here, which is where we're going to build our stairs. I'm going to go around the room and do the same thing just so that I know exactly how I did it, and we can repeat it on every one of these walls, because there's going to be a number of stairways. I know we don't. If I just trying to think of, I think we want the stairs on all sides, so we're going to end up doing 4 of these staircases. I know I don't like to do too many stairs, but in this case it just makes sense. So here we go with this, mesh, edges, subdivide. Then we take this one and this one, mesh, edges, subdivide. Then we take this one and this one, mesh, edges, subdivide. Then I go to this and take those two, click delete, dissolve faces, these two, click delete and dissolve faces, then switch to points, click that point and move it there. that point to move it there. Click that point. I can do these both at the same time, and click that. Alt-M at last, and it moves it there. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times here. We've done it for both of these sides, now we need to do it for both the other sides. I know there's an easy way to move around. Okay, if I do that first, now and click this. Now I can do the close-up stuff. Should have done a bunch more of that. No. Okay, we have this wall, and switch to edge view, those 2, mesh, edges, subdivide. Let me get a little above it. I like to be able to see where I'm going with this. Okay, then I grab this one and this one, mesh, edges, subdivide. Take that one and that one, mesh, edges, whoops, mesh, edges, subdivide. Then rebuild our faces here and here. Delete, dissolve faces, and finally grab the points. We have this one need to go there. Alt-M at last. This one need to go there. Alt-M, merge at last. And here we go. Last but not least, this section up over here. I like to be able to see it. Edges, working here, mesh, edges, and subdivide. I'm sure there's a quick command for this, and but this works. Mesh, edges, subdivide. And then we take the faces and we're going to dissolve the faces so that we have it where we want it to be, and then clean up our extra points here that we're not going to use anyway. If we need them again, we can recreate them, right? At last. Okay, so we have those 4 sections in place. Now we can start working on a set of stairs. Now this one is going to be a little tricky because as I pull them out, we are going to use extrude because we need to kind of keep wherever this is. We're going to need to keep that line in place. And we may have a little bit of trouble doing that because this goes beyond, it's going to be interesting. We may need to scale those endpoints back and get them to just about the right place. There's no mathematically great way to do this part right now. Since we're in a pie wedge, it actually switched which direction we do this. When I pull that one, it's going to look like it's back farther than it needs to be. But if we do it all in place, then scale the endpoints and shift them back, I think we can pull off what we want to pull off, which is getting them back into place over there. Little bit of trick, but we'll get it there. We'll get it there. Whatever we do, we have to do it multiple times, right? So I'm going to take this line and this line. We're going to edges subdivide. I'm going to take these 4, mesh, edges, subdivide. Gotta do it again. These are about the same height as the other one we did, so I'm expecting that we're going to need 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 7, 8. And once we subdivide this one more time, we're going to be right where we need to be. Mesh and edges and subdivide. Okay, with that in place, first of all, we're going to, oops, not look through it. We're going to look at that. We're going to turn off the top step because obviously the top step doesn't need to move. And we're going to, I think I'm going to do a straight extrude. And let's see if it, yeah, it's going kind of like what I expected it to. And this is going to be, oh, I can't see how far I'm going. So let me come around here. Need to be kind of on the side just so I can see about how far it's going to go. Notice with these 16 steps, what I want to do is I want to finish in these 2 channels. I don't want to be any farther into the next one so that there's plenty of room to walk through on that area. So I kind of need to break these down. Yeah, we just need to make them work. Okay, so let's see. If I go here, if I say extrude, and I bring these out, if they are, I want to say, I need to do, two is kind of shallow. .5 feels right. I could get away with 2.5, but am I going to end up all the way back over there? Let's try 2.5. Let's see where we are. If we get halfway on that line, then I'm going to be golden and I'll like it. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, we're going to be, we're not going to get, we need to hit about 8 steps by this point. Those are very narrow steps if I try to do 8 by that point. The other option is to turn the steps the other direction. I don't like how this is working out. So we're going to do some backup here and rethink this, but that isn't going to work. Okay, go back to that stage. I'm thinking one thing or another here. The steps are too big. If I make them go from the forward, then you have to walk this way. You have to zigzag across. I don't necessarily like that idea. I need a bird's eye view. Let's see. See, this section has more area. That one doesn't. I like those first steps. This back section, or this front section here, doesn't have a whole lot of space, and so I don't want to cover it with too much, but it's going to take up that much space to pull those steps off. If I do that over there, it's going to hit I know, here I am with dead time on air trying to figure out what I want to do with this. The problem I have is the steps, if I go this direction, are going to be too long, and they're actually going to hit where this is. The other alternative to that would be lower this section so that it's not so tall. And then this section on this side is much bigger, so I can actually reverse the steps, come up this side, and then have a lot of room up there. I don't know. Yeah, I know. This is what I should have done. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? If I moved it over, then it wouldn't have worked anyway. Yeah, if I moved these steps over, then I don't have enough room to get to this top one up here without doing something completely different for that one. I can make it where you go up one and then this one gets on this side, but then it's this whole other side open, and then have just one set of stairs that get you up to this side, and this whole side's open. So it's not a complete walkthrough then where you come to the other side and go down. You would just come up, go up another set of stairs here going this other direction, and that might look pretty cool. Let's see, if I go there and here. So this one becomes a stairway that takes you up to this level. This one, it's kind of a swirl, kind of takes you up to the other levels. Then we don't have to do as many steps, which is always a good thing. I can actually make this main part even one more section larger, because we'll only need, well, we do need 3 because it's a wider. Yeah, I could do 3 sections. Move the steps this opposite direction, make a landing at the top. Then we have a rail that can look all the way down over the steps. I kind of like the design. That would definitely do it. We could move this all the way over here so that the steps go that way and that way to here. This one goes that way and that way to here, and we don't have that midsection of height. Yes, I do kind of like the midsection. I know I'm talking to myself, but hey, who else is listening? Okay, I'm going to let's move this in here, find that. we're going to come down here and we are going to create some steps down here. So let's see what we can do. This section here, I don't even need to have that piece in that wall anymore. Let's collapse it. This one and this one, dissolve. Now that I have a plan of attack, dissolve faces, and then click that. There's a point here that I need to move just anywhere. Alt-M, at last. Take that one, go there. Alt-M, at last. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to be building based on a wall that I'm going to create from these pieces. So I'm going to take this one, and this one, and I'm going to raise them to the height of that. So, and let's make sure my snap to cursor to center and scale Z direction. Here we go. And they're going to go up to there, which is... why is that not like a really clean amount? Let me get closer here so I can work with this. Okay, I'm going to get myself around where I can see this point really clear, and I'm going to try to get zoomed in here, because when I get close to this, I want it to be close. And then we can merge the points so that it becomes that point. But I want to get as close as I can to do this to begin with. So moving in, we're going to go like that, and scale Z. Is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? Where is it? Nope. There it is. And it is going to be right there. Okay, that actually looks pretty darn good. I'm going to go with that. I didn't mean to hit backsplash. Okay, so that's where my wall is. I'm going to back up, and this one section of the wall, for whatever reason, decided it was going to be reversed the normal the other way. We're going to fix that now. Faces are normals and flip normal. Okay, so that takes care of that piece. And what I'm going to do is, from the backside of that, we'll be putting new pieces back on there by the time I'm done anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. But from here now, the cool part is I'm now using this whole section as a we're going to be able to stretch these based on the I want to get up here where I can see it a little better. We need it to go about the distance of those last steps down below. So we're going to have a little bit of a landing up here. I'm going to select this, this, and this, and then we're going to E, then bump it, then scale that, and just like I thought, we're going to make that, we don't want it to be too big because we want to make sure all the steps get in there. So I'm going to leave that 1.2. That looks pretty darn close. And to take a bird's eye view of that, what I'm looking at is this. Does that match that bottom step? That's not too far off. I think we're going to be just right for the top step and bottom step to be about the right place. You see what I'm doing? Okay, so let me undo that. And then scale Z. And I'm going to make it, I want to make sure it's even short of that, if anything. So instead of 1.2, we're going to do 1.15. Yeah, 0.17. That should be about perfect. 1.17. Okay, now that I've created this over here, before I go doing all of the steps, let's do one on this other side over there. That would be ideal. And let's get over here. To grab, first of all, get our, every time I bump this, I end up bumping the cursor. Okay, so I want this piece, and this piece, and I am going to extrude them in the Z direction, and I'm going to pull it up to, it is, let's see where 8 is. 8 is perfect. Okay, fine. That one worked just like I expected. The other side I had to do that magical figuring out what I was going to do. Probably did it differently. I probably extruded and then scaled, and then the scaling becomes all off. But that's probably what I did. Okay, so then we have this, and I'm going to flip the normals because I do want their faces out this direction. It's not a big deal at this point because I am going to be working with them anyway. And the part that I was most interested in taking care of right away is, just because I know the measurement in my head, I want to make sure that we're getting exactly what I expect out of it, which is to take these 3 pieces right here, and I want this one, and this one. I'm going to extrude, stop, scale, Z direction, and we're going to pull those 1.17. That's the magic number I did on the other side. Okay, now I can zoom my way back across the other side. No, it's not going to play nice. Okay, let's get across the other side. You know, since I did those ones wrong, let's fix it. Might as well. Got to be exact. I like exact because you don't end up with really weird, odd problems later on. Notice I'm getting even a glare of a different imagery there. That's all stuff that I got to fix anyway. So over here, I'm going to do a little cleanup, and we're going to do that piece again, just because we can. And what I'm going to do is select vertices, that one, 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 and that one. That should do it. Boom. Okay, there we go. And if I take this, select here, here, and here, and we extrude in the Z direction, we can go exactly 8, which makes it perfect level top like it should be. Take these, flip the normals, so I'm doing it in the exact same way that I did on the other side. Now using these particular pieces, we are going to extrude this direction here, and enter size Z, and now I'm going to pull those 1.17. We have them exactly. Okay, from there, now coming over this way, we should be able to, first of all, we need to make steps, so we're going to divide this up. We're getting there. We're getting there. We have this one, this one, this one, and this one. And mesh edges, subdivide. Why didn't this one subdivide? This piece didn't subdivide with the others. It's even sitting there. Okay, let me find out why. Is it that side did, this side did, but it didn't split this into like it normally does. Is there another piece there that I'm missing? Let me check that. And we're going to make sure we don't have any doubles when it comes to vertices. So clean up. No, we don't need to clean up vertices. Remove doubles. 11 vertices were removed. That was the problem. Okay, so if I come in here and click that one, well, let's just do this again. Let's go to the top. At last. I don't want to be messing around with extra points here. And the second you start doing it, it ends up being more of a headache than it's worth. So I'm going to clean up these points first. That gets rid of the extra faces. Now if I take this and go straight out there, there, and there, say mesh, edges, subdivide. Perfect. Okay. You definitely don't want to be dealing with, there was a ghost extra edge there. So because there was two points, two edges, then every time I selected it, I don't know which one I'm grabbing. So by removing the doubles, it blurs them into, it creates them into one point, and anything close to each other that, you know, microscopically close are going to be pulled and become the same point. Turns out I had 11 of those points on the scene somewhere. And so by doing that, cleans up that area and we're in better shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide these pieces. And oops, not that one, that one. And we're going to subdivide these. And then we're going to do it one more time. I know it seems like a lot of steps, but when you're walking up them and people can create their own avatars, this ends up becoming a pretty good practice. Is just, it's always better to have more steps than you need than to end up having too steep of steps where nobody can walk up them. Okay, so we have all those, and mesh. We're going to edges, subdivide one more time. Now I can click the faces of them. Get rid of the first one. I want to make sure my snap to the center is still in place. And finally, now, all those steps down below were created with 0.972. Or 0.927? 0.972. I think I still have it on the calculator. Let's see. 0.972. Okay, so we're going to try that in reverse and see if that actually gets us to where we want to be. So extrude, enter, size, shift Z, and this direction. Oh, notice it's like a 1. It's not even anything. 0.972 would be that direction. So if we go 1 plus the distance that we are traveling. Okay, let me back that up a second. And the distance that we went was 0.028. So here, if I go size this and I go 1.028, that should be my step size. Get rid of another row. I like these kind of arched stairways and stuff. It's kind of cool. Gives it a really cool effect. So then extract, size this, and this will be 1.028 again. Bum ba dum bum bum. Let's see. Size Z. 1.028. I knew there was a mathematical something that would help us out at some point in time here. But by knowing that measurement, it's able to recreate the same distance the stairs used on the bottom rim. And we should be looking pretty good. We'll check it here in a second. Let's see. Yeah, we're halfway and halfway. We're looking good. We're looking good. Okay. I'm going to keep that kind of in view here. Yeah, close enough. Take off another stair. And very methodical getting this done. We're almost good with some stairs. Oof, what am I doing? Back that up. Okay. Okay. Let's try that again. Forgot to click S. And take off a couple more there. Extrude. Size 0.28. And we have one more to do, and we have our steps. So we'll go take off one more layer, and then we have 0.28. Okay, and the cool part is, notice that is pretty darn close. That's exactly where I wanted it. So it looks like about one step distance from the top of the steps to the next step that comes over. It's pretty much, that's pretty darn close. I'll live with that. That's perfect. And then we can walk all the way up from there as we go. Notice that's going to be some different kind of wall here because, of course, these panels all, well, we can see what we can do about making that more than one face, but we'll see what we can do. I could put a wall there, bearing wall. That would make it one face instead of all these faces. I could blend faces together. I could do faces this way or this way for each one of them. Yeah, there's some options here. Yeah, we'll play around with that. We'll see what we actually want to do. In this case, an open stairway to see across is kind of cool, so I'm not going to shut it down. We'll decide how many of these faces we can merge together into one and dissolve some points or whatever we can do on that shortly. But for the meantime, let's save this. File, save, and let's see if we can take a walk all the way up those steps and just check it out. So we're going to File, Export, Babylon again, and exported. Go into our app, media library, the 3D objects, take that part here, upload our new version of it, which is that file right there. And it doesn't take very long. We can clear our browsing data just so that we know that we're getting the fresh version of that. And here we go. Okay, running into the scene. It should load right now. There it is. And we're going to check this out. There's our extra steps. There's a little jittering going on the wall, but that's only because we have extra faces that we don't need in those places. Those faces are all facing the wrong direction, just so you know. We can flip the normals and it'll fix that problem. And we're dealing with the same thing on this side. Okay, we're going to flip the normals. We'll go back into here. Notice the normals are upward on these ones, but all of these on the side we're basically let's combine some as we do this just because we can. So I'm going to make them in rows going upward just because if we dissolve the faces, that's going to make it a lot easier to work with. Delete, dissolve faces. We're going to have a lot of extra points in here that we can clean up also, which we will do. And we have all those highlighted, dissolve faces. So we're going to end up with a bunch of rows across here. And we're going to flip these faces afterwards. So we'll do these cleanup pieces here. Delete, dissolve faces. Dissolve faces combines them all into one, so nice easy cleanup. It makes it one, well, when it makes it one face, then we only have 4 vector points that it has, or 4 vertices that we have to track to figure out where that face belongs. Makes it nice and simple. And we'll color it in a way that the pattern that's on it doesn't get affected by the fact that each one of these are different scalings of height and everything that it uses it. So that's kind of the plan in the long run. And now if I just grab each one of these, and we're going to flip the normals. Flip normals, brings them on the outside. Now they look like they're supposed to. The other ones are in between each one of these steps are a face, and each one of them are facing the wrong direction. So we're going to grab faces. We're going to grab all of these faces along here. Because each one of these normals are flipped. So when we looked at the stairs, we were seeing in between each one of them because the faces were flipped. So we're going to make sure we get those here. And then come down this side of stairs. And I believe all the upward facing ones are all correct. So once we get these all flipped, I think we're going to be in good shape. Now they're all facing this direction, which is good. All the other ones are facing up, which is good. Let me see if the top of the stairs is in place. I don't see a normal sticking up there. So those are backwards. We're going to flip those now. Some of these aren't the right direction. Notice how the bottom stairs are and the top ones aren't. That's interesting to me, but we're going to get them all facing the right direction. Because this one, and this one, I don't know why these aren't. I didn't change the way I was doing it halfway down the steps. But these, actually they're all backwards. That makes more sense. I would think that they're all backwards or all forward. What we're seeing is the divisions of the pieces on the ground are flashing through, because remember how we deleted all those extra points when we created the stairs? It created flat pieces on the bottom below the stairs. Well, when it did that, it basically, that's what we're seeing. That's why they don't get taller. They're all the lower height, and they just disappear behind this, is because these are all facing the wrong direction to begin with. So if I flip these normals, now they're all facing upward. And as you can see, if I walk around over here, zoom the view, okay, and here's all of our mess that we have under the stairs. We'll hide the normals and then fix all this stuff. We have a lot of pieces that we can clear up and delete out of here. Actually, we're going to kill some of that right now. Why not? We're going to go in here and let's look at just these and just let's turn off our normals. We don't want to see them right now. There's too many of them. Okay, I'm going to grab these points in here that we just created when we did the bottom of the stairs, and by deleting these I should be able to get the making sure I don't get too close down there. We can always clean up another spot later, but it's a lot harder to put them back if I get too many of them. So we're going to delete those vertices, which cleared the path. There we go. Still have our sides in place, and we do not have that in the way. And if I come over here, I think we're all the way good to the end. Yes, we did get it all the way to the end. Okay, good there. Now this side over here, these are against the wall. We're not even going to use them. So if we get rid of these vertices, we can get rid of some faces that aren't being used. This is the wall side of the staircase. And we're just going to keep on moving along this wall, getting each one of them, because of course we don't need this many other vertices here. I know I could use a C tool. There we go. Kick those. That works. Could use the box tool too, but I kind of like using the circle tool. Lets me get the ones I want and nothing else. And then I'm going to get rid of each one of those up to there. This will get rid of our end wall just because of the way I'm deleting the vertices, but it's okay because I'm going to put a new wall there doing exactly what we want it to at the end. But of course we don't need all these extra pieces in here, so I'm going to clear those out. There's also one more while I'm in this area. Notice we killed the vertices and it killed most of the places, but the very last one in the row is a face. So we're going to switch to faces. We're going to grab that one right there. That's not grabbing the right one. Let's grab that one right there and delete face only. And if I grab the line on this side, I can delete edges and faces only, and it got rid of that piece. So then I still have the points that make up the stairs, still have all the stuff is consistent, but what I didn't need, what I didn't need was all the extra faces on the inside of this section that I've created. Now what I'll do is I don't think I need this section to be this low. So if I just take this and move them up to here, I can get rid of extra pieces. And we get our full consistent wall all the way up to the top. There we go. That takes care of creating that. Is that going to screw up this piece over here? Blah, 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 blah. I prefer keeping that across here as a point because that's going to screw up all the whatever we try to put on this side there. There's a better way to do that. I'm going to show you. Watch this. Let's back that up. Put that back down there. I'm going to do that with these points. Last. because there's no other reason. Oh yes, there is. Cancel that idea. Did I or did I not just... Does it change the effect of this piece on the other side here? Let's double check that. Did it? Yes, it did. Okay, nope, that's not going to be where we want it. We're going to fix this in two pieces here. What I have is this. We want it to be flat to the front stairway. So we're going to undo this. And right down here someplace is going to be a spot where we need that to be exactly where it's at. You know it. So basically what I'm building is I'm working on building kind of a clubhouse hangout place, and then I'm dropping it into my WalkTheWeb scene. So what we have is, okay, this piece here I'm kind of, so I'm building this different structure on the inside of here so that we have some different levels just to have some fun with it. And then I'm going to, work on all these different sections. But right now I'm kind of throwing in some stairs, and we're going to make it like a club. So it kind of looks like a club. There'll be some different tables. There'll be some sitting areas. We'll have some fun with it. But it's going to be a place where developers can hang out. You ever see the movies or the book Snow Crash? But Snow Crash has this hero protagonist is the main character, and basically he helped build the internet, as you would say, or the future of the internet or something. And so as a tribute to them, I'm building kind of my own version of the dome place. See, we can zoom out and check out the whole place. But see, we're building the dome where they used to hang out as a kind of a go-to place to meet other programmers and stuff. So it's kind of a tribute to Neil Stevenson, and also create us a hangout for different developers. But that's what it is. So right now I'm building some different stairways, and I want to make sure everybody can go up and down the stairways. I had some different faces here I had to work with, and like you said, this program is so awesome when it comes to creating things. Okay, I have a lot of extra points along that wall. We're going to get rid of all these extra vectors right now because it gets confusing and we don't need them. They were used to create the stairs, but they're no longer needed. And they were part of this side wall, but not necessarily this bottom piece. So to avoid any confusion on that, I wanted to make sure that that was separate. And then I need to grab this bottom piece that goes all the way across there. I'm going to edges subdivide it so that I do gain another point. Hey, hello, how you doing today? Just working on some stuff, creating a clubhouse for everybody to hang out with, all of us programmers. Let's see, I just created that point, and what I'm going to do is I want to move that point to where's the point? Is that the point I created? Or is that one I left from before? That's about halfway. Okay, that's the point. Good. And I'm going to take this point and I am going to merge it with that point on the steps. The reason I'm doing that is because I need to make sure that these steps do not move when I move this front wall, and I don't need this particular piece of this in here. So by taking that piece there, oh, I did that wrong. Okay, let me back up. I got ahead of myself here. When I subdivide that piece, I need to subdivide that piece and the one on the other side at the same time. So let me, first of all, not get the clear through. I want that one, and I want this one, this one, and not that one. Let me get over here where I can see it. I'm subdividing it so that I can create the flat ground before the steps on the end, and I need to make sure that I grab that one. Now when I subdivide these, it'll give me the planes with it. That's why I wanted to do it that way. Now, okay, that looks weird. Why? Okay, that didn't come out as expected. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to make sure I've selected just the two end ones then. And we're going to subdivide them to... there's another way. If I grab this plane, I can tell it to subdivide it, but it'll cut it in 4 pieces, and I only need the 2. So I'm going to select that edge of this and that edge of this. And when I say mesh, I didn't grab anything else, did I? No, I can't see anything else. Okay. Edges, subdivide. It should split. It should have split my plane. I think I'm dealing with more than one plane here. Okay, fine. It didn't play nice. Let's see if I do this. Yeah, see, I'm dealing with more than one plane here. Delete. Faces only. That kind of works. I can do it this way too. And, well, that's kind of the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so we're going to delete this and this. Delete faces only. There's a reason. Gonna make Lego stuff. Cool. That's cool. I did Legos so much when I was a kid. I spent a lot of time creating stuff with Legos. They're one of my favorite things to have. I built so many things, and now what's really cool is doing Blender. I feel like I'm doing Legos again because I can create anything. It's really cool. So we're going to put a face there. We're going to put a face here. Face there. There's too many places that I was working with, so what was happening is I couldn't grab just the one that I wanted. So basically I deleted the face altogether and just recreated it where I want it to actually be. Sometimes that's easier than dealing with the other stuff. Now I want to turn on the normals and make sure they're all facing upward. And now we have the platform at the base of the steps. And finally, the other part is I need to make the back of the steps here. That sidewall's still there. That's a good sign. I think it may be doubled though. We'll have to double check. Oh, I think I deleted those already. We created this side of the steps, and finally we're going to jump around here and create the face side of the steps, which is this part right here. I'm going to do this in a way that we get rid of, first of all, I don't need this edge and this edge now. In fact, I don't need that edge either. Yes, I do. That one's used. These two edges I'm going to delete because they're not used in any piece that I'm going to be doing. And these faces right here, actually these points, if I take out that point and that point, delete vertices, clears those out, and now I can go here, here, to here, and here, which adding a face there. This is kind of a cleanup way of doing this. I just need the 4 points for the face. I don't need that there were extra points to get it where it's at. So that gives me 4 points, creates a clean, nice face, and those are ones I can work with. The other part here is, if you'll notice, there's some different edges that aren't crisp, and right now I want all the edges crisp. So I do a A for selecting all and Shift E, stretch them all, and then now we have crisp edges on all of our stairs. Let's check this out and see how we did. Why is that one different? This section right here, that doesn't look like the middle of the square where it's selecting, which means there's something going on with that one. I'm going to delete, oops, I'm going to delete the face on this one. And because there was something weird about it, it's a lot easier to delete the face and recreate the face than it is to try to fix a bad section, because we can just do that. Now it's there, and notice the normal is in the middle of the face. Good question. First of all, the earnings. Show me, you put a site out there or something. What was the link to that? Let me check it out. Okay, I'm going to save that. I am going to, let's leave that mode. File save, file export. Okay, export. I've never used Google Weebly, so I haven't even checked it out. Sorry. Okay, from there, now if I go to here, Media Library, 3D Objects, go inside the club, and we're going to give it our new version here with the extra steps. Now that's loaded. I'm going to clear the browser just to make sure we don't have it sitting there. Get a good clean reload, and we'll bring it in. And when I walk inside, okay, we have a weird mesh there. I'm not too worried about that because I'm not doing the UV yet. Okay, I come up here, and we now have this section looking pretty good. And I can come up here and walk up these steps, and we're all the way to the top level. That's a good sign. Okay, now we can walk all the way up here. That actually worked pretty cool. So a little bit of cleanup. We'll have to do some faces and stuff. Okay. Then on this side, this is the one where we created the top box so far, but I have not created the actual steps yet, so that's where we'll go next. Okay. I'll Okay, so going through here. Okay. And here we go. We have this up here. This is where we're going to create our next steps. So back to our designs and back to this mode. And finally across the room where we are building this other set of steps. And it's going to be right over there. Steps came out pretty nice, so I do like the way they worked out to be at the end. it's gonna be pretty cool. I think this is gonna be a really neat, multi-leveled clubhouse. It's kind of taken inspired by Snow Crash, like I said. I'll worry about deleting extra stuff after we figure out which ones we need to keep, and we actually build our steps over here. So first thing I'm going to do is come over here, and I'm going to spin it in just a second, just working my way across the room. I know there's probably better ways of getting around, but it's got me here. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is select by site. Okay. Let me do this one more time just to make sure that we do not have duplicates of any of our vertices. Remove doubles. And we didn't have any more. That's good. Okay, that means when we grab something, we're grabbing the source, not multiple sources. I have those two, mesh and edges, subdivide. Okay, that worked smooth. Okay, getting these pieces, mesh, edges, subdivide. Okay, mesh, edges, subdivide. Okay. And here we're going to mesh, subdivide one more time, edges, and subdivide. Okay, so that gave us 16 different pieces. And then we're going to come in here and okay, now I can, select them all, shift and unselect the top row. I want to make sure my cursor is still in the center of the page, because boy, does that screw you up if it isn't. And it is. Okay, we're good to go. Now it's time to make some stairs. So we do extrude E and then hit enter to keep it in the place. Then we want to scale by Z, and we're going to move that out this direction, and it's going to be 1.028. And take off another row, extrude. What did I just click? I clicked the wrong thing. Forgot to, didn't let go of a button, so I want to make sure I get that right where I want it to be. And let me make sure these are looking right, because if it doesn't look right and I go all the way down the list, I have to undo everything. So far, yes, we look okay. You know what? I don't like that last step. That didn't work right. Okay, let's do that again. Extrude and scale that 1.028. There we go. Take off another layer. That's why I like to be able to see the top when we're doing this. There we go. All you gotta do is not get the shift key at just the right time, and next thing you know, you're all out of phase. So I'm being very careful right now. See if we can't get these steps in place here. We're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. They're looking pretty good so far. I've done this a few times, and handful of different times and stuff. I've created some different objects and stuff. Gone through their tutorials, or at least quite a few of them, and basically I've learned that I'm going to be a hack at this for a while and try to do whatever I need it to do, and little by little I'll get better at it, and I'm feeling more comfortable with it, so I'm definitely getting around and getting the things done that I want to do. But by no means, there's some people out there that are just the best at this stuff, and I watch a lot of their videos and everything else to make sure that I can cancel that. So size that. There we go. So I've done quite a few of their videos, and I like getting into more of the molding section where I'm actually creating different objects. That part to me is really cool. 1.028. Let's see if I can do this twice in a row. I know when I start talking I screw it up. So almost there. And finally the last step, 0.028. Then we're going to do some cleanup here. While I'm on this side, we're going to go ahead and select the faces here. I'm going to get this one, and this one. And I'm going to delete the faces only and go back to points and create there to there. There's one, that point to there and there. Gives me that point, and okay, the other thing that we had to do last time was every one of these steps were in the wrong direction. So I want to, let's first select one of them just so we can get all the faces here. I want to make sure I'm getting these edges. And basically we're going to select all of these up to here, and all these coming back down, and then we're going to flip the normals, and then on this side we did all that joining stuff. I'm going to repeat the same steps because I want them to look the same when we go across the page. This particular normal wasn't correct, so we are going to dissolve the face, and I'm going to create a new piece for right here. Those four corners and face. There we go. Now we have a new face there. These other ones, we're going to dissolve the faces and see if we can't bring them all into one, just so that we can simplify the design. This will give it less points to track, and also nice and clean for the surface that goes on it. So we're going to dissolve the faces. And the other thing I have to do is, because I dissolved all these faces, I have to get rid of all the extra vertices that are down these lines that aren't going to be used. So we're gonna do some stuff with that. Actually, there's an easier way to do this. I think I'm gonna have to do it on the other side just to clean up some of the faces anyway, because there's an extra point right there on every one of these. There's an extra vertice, and if you do a 5-sided piece, the surface, when you color it with a texture, does not come up right. So the only way around that is by actually just recreating these faces. Let me see if we can. So if I do it this way, trust me, it's going to be better in the long run than trying to do it any other way. I'll see, because, yeah, see, those are the ones I already did, but see, all the vertices are still here. So I don't want the vertice that is used by the actual step, because that actually is in use, but we want these vertices that are below that to actually disappear. So I'm going to highlight all these vertices, and then I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, see how that kind of makes a stair? It shows that I'm only getting the vertices that I need. I'm going to delete, and I'm going to delete those vertices. Notice it cleared out this area, which is what I wanted it to do. Now, by selecting 4 vertices at a time, I can actually create new faces that only have 4 points. That 5th point right there would have caused issues with drawing the texture on the side of the place. So by doing this, I'm getting nice and clean vertices on each one of these steps, which will give us a cleaner end result, which is what we want in the first place. So going here, 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 here. Now I'm troubled by why one of them, but all the rest of them stayed this direction. Oh, that one just flipped too. Okay, I guess it's going to happen. We're going to find out what's going on with that, and we'll flip the vertices. We need to anyway. I don't know why some of them go this way and others don't, but who knows. We'll get them all straight anyway. And it's okay. All we want to do is 4 points for each one of these areas. Since they're measured perfectly, it's not going to leave a gap just because we skipped a vertice that's along an edge. But the end result is so much better when you do that. Now if I take the points, I have this one, that, and that one, and that one. And we flip the normals. That's why I was showing the normals. Now they're all facing outward, and they all look nice and even. That part's all good. So let's come over here. And now we have to clean up underneath the stairs, which I know there's a bunch of pieces in here, including all of this stuff on the side. We're gonna start with turning off the normals for a minute, because they kind of get in the way of trying to see everything else. Okay, that clears up those pieces, and I can clear up this line and that edge. Delete those, edges and faces only. And now moving in over here, we have a bunch of, once again, a bunch of edges and stuff that we do not need. Let me get down farther here so we can see which ones we're working with. And that's a good angle where I can see everything. Okay, so starting with that one, I'm going to do a C selection tool just so I can get rid of a bunch of pieces here. I'll make sure I'm not grabbing anything outside of this wall. Okay, by deleting those vertices, we should get that back into nice clean edge. Okay, and once we have that, we'll have to look above the stairs at some point in time here and make sure. I think we're okay though. That took care of all those faces that weren't needed. And finally, I'm going to remove that point and that point. Get rid of those vertices and select these four and create a face. These four, create a face. Like I said, I'm not worried about what texture is going to be placed on it. It's going to assume a texture as soon as I do this, but I'm not worried about that because we're going to be painting all the textures after we get all these pieces in place and everything looks right. We're going to check the normals. Everything looks good there. Okay, so that should take care of enough from those pieces. Still moving right along. Okay. And here we go. Let's see. Where did I just look? That takes care of those. We'll worry about some of those other sections here afterwards. I just want to see that the other part was on this other side. I didn't remove a lot of points. I think we're going to end up with a lot of extra points. Let's go clear out the vertices, or all the extra vertices that don't need to be here because they're going to cause us additional issues when we try to draw these pieces on the side. So we get the nice clean pattern on here. We're gonna see all those vertices. I knew I didn't get those. So we'll come over here where we can see them nice. And like that. And time to clear out a bunch of vertices. Start with, and then the C tool should help us select them. I'm going to get rid of all the way to there. We just don't want to, we do not want to get rid of any of them that have to do with the steps. So we're only working with things that go from here. Okay, get these here. We got two more there and one there. I'm going to first get rid of all these vertices that we just selected, which of course kills out that. The other piece is, notice now we're going to recreate our stairs here. Let me turn off the normals because they're kind of in our way. And we're going to go 4 corners of a step. Click F for face. 4 corners of this next step, F to create a face, and so on and so on. Okay, and let's see here, we have there, and there. Another face. And Then we'll check the normals on these to make sure that they're all facing the right direction, but we just eliminated a whole bunch of points that aren't being used anymore, and that's the whole purpose of doing this little step. The normals, are we all facing outward? Yes, we are. That's a good sign. And okay. File, save. And I like saving inside and outside of edit mode. It's a little something else related to that piece. Media library, I'm going to show you this piece in here. And club inside, let's get the new version of Babylon. Let's get this new version uploaded. That's all it took. And finally, clear the settings, clear the browsing data. Load this, and we have okay, so coming out over here. Now we still haven't worked our entrance, but that's a whole nother section. And we have on one side, takes us up this way. There's a little jitter there. We'll take care of that. That's a face that doesn't need to be there. Oh, there's missing a face. We didn't get those going the right direction. Okay. This whole side isn't loading right. We're still on the old version because we just did all those faces and they're not here. Let me make sure we're getting Okay, hang on. File. Did I do export? That would have been export Babylon. I probably skipped that step a second ago, just thinking ahead. Okay, let's media library, object, and go here. Babylon file, upload that. Settings, clear the browsing data to make sure we're getting the new version, and refresh. Okay, and as you can see, we have our one stairs over there, and this is the one I was just working on. That's a nice clean wall now. See, we were able to get that into place. I don't think I smoothed the edges, so I'll have to double check that. But we are able to run up here. We have a nice clean edge on that. And we have, as long as we have pieces here, don't worry about the textures on it. That's going to change. And we can run up these stairs. That looks really good. Okay, that's across here. We're going to create some couple tables or sitting areas up here. We're going to have some fun with some of this stuff. And it's going to give it a place where people can walk across to the other side. Nice balcony view kind of feeling to it. There'll be a couple seats up here maybe. And there's going to be a railing, so you can't do what I just did, which is jump off the edge, because I wanted to get to the other side. And here we have this side. And we're going to run up the stairs here once just to show we can. Okay, looks like we have stairs both sides of the room. We've done a complete path of that, and we basically have the good start of our building here. We're still moving along, still adding other pieces to it, but it's really cool. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Appreciate each and every one of you for keeping up with me, and like I said, we'll go back to coding probably tomorrow. So today was a day of playing around a little bit more with some graphics in Blender, but tomorrow we'll definitely be back into the code side of things. We're going to keep on working to make the product perfect, and yeah, that's what it is. So we'll just keep going, keep building, keep growing. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.